let's get through the important news first. First of all, you know how I keep showing you weather anomaly forecasts for the El Nino, like how projections keep going higher and higher, and how every time we look at the chart, they have to increase the size of the y-axis. They did it again. We now have some forecasts that are exceeding 4.5 degrees Celsius over the mean. So now we have raised the y-axis yet again to 5 degrees Celsius. We're in the middle of a war, bro. Opens with the climate. Buddy, this is going to kill way more people. Far, far, far more people than the war. In addition, on the standard deviation chart, or not the standard deviation chart, but the Celsius deviation chart right here, we've seen another spike up. See, the red line is the current year. We have seen another spike up. The line is going up, up and up and up and up and up and up and up. We have another heat dome coming. This one's going to annihilate whopper of a heat dome coming, and that's no exaggeration. In all aspects, size, longevity, and especially intensity, this will be extreme. The heat dome should shatter all-time records for upper-level pressure in the northern plain states. Actual temperatures, not the heat index, in Montana, Wyoming, North and South Dakota could 110 spots. The heat wave will peak Sunday through Wednesday. Jesus Christ, peak for a 4-day range. This should come as no surprise. El Niño's record pace is juicing atmospheric extremes on top of the long-term warming trend. Just missing Seattle? Sorry, the Pacific Northwest is blessed by God. What is this TikTok video edit? Nobody pays attention, man. There is like no mainstream media coverage at all of how bad this is going to be. I have not seen any mainstream coverage of El Nino outside of like a Guardian video or something. Like there's really no... They'll look up shit? Yep. When will Yellowstone erupt, man? Well, at this point, the fucking atmospheric coverage we might get from a Yellowstone eruption would probably help us cool the earth a little bit. Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. The 2026 to 2027 El Nino is simply astonishing. Tropical Pacific waters are running nearly 7 weeks ahead of where they've ever been at this point in El Nino cycle in modern history. Models now put the peak strength at 3.6 degrees Celsius on the Relative Oceanic Niño Index, the new standard for measuring El Nino that adjusts for background ocean warming from climate change. This would beat the previous record, December 1877, the strongest El Nino ever observed, by 0.7 degrees Celsius, in the context of climate that's completely blowing the previous record out of the water. For context, an El Nino is informally considered a super El Nino when for 3 months the Niño 3.4 index is 2.0 degrees Celsius or above. Expect extreme climate and weather impacts over the next 12 to 18 months. Forecasts have been consistent, aggressively wet for California and the southern U.S. Many of California's largest floods have hit during the El Nino years, and very strong events. El Nino typically becomes the single best predictor of a very wet winter in California, elevates the odds of a mega flood in the state. 2027 could be the first year Earth briefly touches 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Yippee. Also from 1877? Ah, yes. The last time we had an El Nino this bad, it caused a mass famine. I remember this. Well, the British did too. It was the British and the El Nino. The Great Famine was precipitated by an intense drought resulting in crop failure in the Deccan Plateau. This was part of a larger pattern of drought and crop failure across India, China, South America, and parts of Africa, caused by an interplay between the 1877 El Nino and an active Indian Ocean dipole that led to between 19 and 50 million deaths. So that's the reason why we have to open with the climate instead of the war. British did it here too. Yeah. There are 1877 El Nino maps. That is true. Well, that's an unusably small image. Looks scary, though. Keep in mind an equivalent of that portion of the population in today's demographics would be in the hundreds of millions. That is true, yes. It would be big. This is an AI image. Yeah, it looks like it. Starktica. Ostarktica. And what is Midkv? Huh? Huh? Yeah, I'm on to you. I'm on to you. Anyway, yeah. Right now, and keep in mind it's not even done charging up, but the last time we had an El Nino this bad, it killed 50 million people, and this El Nino is already 0.7 degrees worse than the previous record. So, you know, those supposed to be Roman numerals. Oh. And we have a fertilizer shortage on top of it. Yeah. It's going to be the worst climate event in human history. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's true. We're all going to die. Well, eventually. And an oil shortage. Well, they did also have an oil shortage back in 1877. This is from the 20th of May. The data has gotten much worse since then. The 20th of May, that was where were we back then? We were still like here back in the 20th of May. Since then, we have like broken record after record. I linked it to show the map. So Phoenix and LA are lost causes, right? Yeah, but they always were. We always knew that wasn't going to work. Smart people did, at least. And hey, listen, okay? When you guys are living out the climate apocalypse and you're deciding where to spend your limited discretionary income, I want you to think, who was the one content creator with the stones to brave the people calling him a doomer and tell you the truth? Who was the one guy who warned you? Huh? Huh? I want you to remember that. When you see the tornado hurtling towards your house, I want you to tier 4 sub, auto renew for every member of your household, okay? Straight to heaven. You're going straight to heaven. Take that money off your off the way to your heart, so it's lighter than a feather. Selling indulgences. Always have been. You're the guy that used to dunk on chat for doomering, and I still do. I've never been doomer. I've just been factually reporting the evidence available to me. That's not doomer. Doomer's a mentality. Your video about resisting self-hate has helped me more than months of therapy. Keep it up, Fushman. I think that, like, people are often resistant to therapy because it feels insincere. You're literally talking to like a professional whose job it is to read you and tell you stuff to change your behavior. It doesn't have the same like immediate perceptible authenticity that you would get from like a guy on the internet just yelling at you. It is true that self-hate is like a wretched and unproductive emotion. It literally gets you nowhere. It's also something I have a difficult time sympathizing with because I just don't experience it. Like, it's not that I never have negative feelings. I just don't really like, I don't know. Sometimes people, they just doubt themselves and doubt themselves and doubt themselves and they hate themselves. I don't get it. If you look, I'm very outcomes oriented. If you want good outcomes, you need to engage in good behaviors, and self-hate is just not, it just does not lead to good outcomes, you know? You know, you're privileged in this regard? Yeah, of course I do. I understand. It's not like a skill issue thing. Like there's a blend of environmental and cognitive factors that go into it. I had really good parents, which factored into it. But like the truth remains the same on the other side of the field, right? Which is like, it's privilege because my way is better. It wouldn't be privilege to not experience self-hate if self-hate was helpful. Then it would be disadvantageous for me to not experience it. It's a privilege that I have because it's better. So to whatever extent possible, you should try to excise that feeling, you know? But self-loathing and depression are not a choice. The feelings are not directly a choice, but we all have control over how we feel indirectly because we control how we respond to things and we can control how we react to situations, and the way you think is affected in the long run by choices that you make. So it's not about like immediately, is it your fault if you're depressed? No. But in the long run, can you do things to alleviate your depression? Absolutely, sure. And maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but you got to try, right? You know? Is it a skill issue on your part, like right now, that you're not like in shape, like an athlete or whatever? Not immediately at this moment, no. Like you have a wide range of priorities in your life, and that might not have been one of them. But can you make changes in your life to get you up to that point? Yeah, of course you can. Will that make you the best runner in the world? No. I mean, maybe it will. I don't know, maybe, but probably not. But it's always good to try.